All right, what are the authors that you need to read more of? And by you, we have a special setup here where me and my recording partner, Crypto, we each independently selected some authors, and we're going to play this game where I'm pitching it to my recording partner, pitching it to you, the audience member, to try to entice you to read more. But the reality is I also need to read more of these authors. These are authors I want to explore more of as well.
I'm starting us off, right?
Kick us off, big boy.
All right, so we have read this author before, but I don't feel like we have done her justice, and that is Toni Morrison. We could do a series of her children's novels. We could do one of her full-fledged novels, but I feel like since we've given her major props and we don't have enough videos about her on our channel. So that's my pitch of why we need to read more of Toni Morrison.
All right, my author that I think we need to read more of is James Baldwin. Now, you and I have read some of his short stories. You know his masterful prose. You know his deep insights into human injustice. Why I think we need to read more is I think what I find interesting about him and a lot of the authors that we've chosen, well, let me start there here. A lot of the authors that you and I have read have been timepieces. They've been capsules of particular moments in time, and they do a really great job of capturing it for one reason or another, whether it be an allegory or a key insight. What I think is bad about that style of reading only that is that hindsight's 2020. Right? We have a pretty clear picture of what the right answer is when it came to the Civil War and such. What I like about James Baldwin is I think what's interesting about his insight into suffering, into his views of, his relationships with other men as he got older and such, is that I think he provides, even having written decades ago, a more modern look into topics that are even discussed today. And I think that would influence you and me as well as other readers out there to have more relevant conversations than just time capsule pieces.
All right, I like that. So I'm going to throw you back one that I think is also there because we're nerds. We like to geek out, and sometimes it's fun to break our brains a little bit. Sometimes it's fun to just have fun, right? And I think that we need more of Philip K. Dick in our life. His stories have been translated into media of movies and film and shows and referenced and used, I think, as inspiration. Total Recall, Screamers, Scanner Darkly, Minority Report, Blade Runner, so many more have influenced the sci-fi genre, fantasy genre of writing and cinema. And besides the couple that we've done on the channel, I don't think that I've read any of the source material of those amazing movies and pieces. And I think that's a disservice to him and his legacy. So I want more of that in my life.
And whether he wrote the social material or inspired others, I do know actually one of my favorite shows of all time, there are a lot of parallels to one of his books. And I've always had that on my list of things I've been interested in. So maybe we need to look at something like that in the future. My next author that I want to pitch to you is Juan Rufo, our Mexican writer. He wrote Pedro Páramo, which I know you have not read yet. My friend Noah showed me that book, and it was life-changing. I had never read an author that was able to bring a perspective, a voice to the page where you were so unsure of where you are, but so excited to figure out where you were going to go. I think he is one of those voices in the culture of Mexico that I think brings something to the table that evokes the past, not as a relic, not as something that you've gone through and made decisions and have hindsight in 2020. It's something that you live with today. And he's one of the few authors that I think has been able to capture how trauma can show up in our daily lives and how it influences modern thought.
That sounds right up our alley, right? I mean, I kind of got goosebumps thinking about that. I was like, oh, that sounds exactly something that we love discussing, of the human condition and how it's timeless, but can still be so impactful today. I love it. So my next one sort of does that, I think, in a modern-esque way, is Nana Kwame. We've read several of the short stories from Friday Black. I think that we should finish those short stories. We did a great service and justice to Dubliners, and I'm putting that Friday Black is up there, maybe the top 3 or 5 greatest collection of short stories. I can't say that yet because we haven't finished it, and I want to finish it. And then he just released his novel debut, Chain Gang All-Stars, which is like this dystopian future of these 2 women gladiators fighting for their freedom in a private like prison. It sounds so cool. So like I think that those would be really fun to get into as well.
And that's what I like about some of the readings that we do, that they bring like an honest and interesting perspective on social justices, injustices, but can present it in a way that's still entertaining. And I think that's why I want to talk about my next author, Vladimir Norov. And I know I'm not going to go to the very controversial Lolita argument, right? Because I know that there's people that are just like, I can't read that because of that. And that's fine. Let's not read that, right? Like, let's put that one back on the shelf. I read something, this was purchased for me by my friend that I grew up with, that apparently knows me really well, because he bought for me one of the most mind-blowing books of all time, and it's called Pale Fire. And it's this book with like an introduction. It's a poem, and then there's a critique of the poem, and then a glossary. But all 4 of these sections are the book. They're all in on the structure, where it's a story of authenticity, a story of responsibility and interpretation, a story on the idea of where do I begin in taking some events and interpreting them and adding my own elements to that. Something that we do for our hobbies here on this channel, right? But it's mind-blowing, but it's witty and playful. It almost strikes that Borgesian line that we love, where I'm like, wait, is this author gaslighting me? Is he tricking me into something that I'm not aware of? And it's kind of like a fun mystery, like almost like you're a detective in this story that I just thought was absolutely amazing. His command of language, his command of wit and humor and unexpected turns really brings a enjoyable read, I think, to a reader.
Man, as you throw these out here to me, I keep thinking of how much I would love to talk to the authors. Like, can we have him on? Can we talk to him?
No, unless we can resurrect the dead. He passed away before even we were born, unfortunately.
Aw. So that helps me transition to another author real quick that is a modern writer, is Andy Weir. He's very famous. The Martian turned into the movie, which is very successful. We listened to and talked about Artemis, which is amazing. The Egg. I love how thought-provoking Weir is, and it scratches that sci-fi itch that I like as well. So I know, like, I guess that's a theme of all of my not all of my authors, a few of my authors here, is that we go in waves, I feel like, on the channel, where we get deep into, Dostoevsky, and, we get into, Dubliners, and we get into Faulkner, and we get into these, passionate projects that we have, and I love it. But then also the nerd in me is crying out, saying, crypto, I need sci-fi, I need fantasy, come on, you nerd. And so I guess that's why I'm throwing a couple of the sci-fi fantasy writers on here.
I hear you, and I will raise you with another one with Ursula K. Le Guin, who is well known for her world building, for her ability to have a deep insight into empathy, and saying, is this worth the pain and the suffering upon someone else? And I think what's interesting is just the colors in which she writes with. She challenges some expected and standard norms that we have in our society. She's created some wonderful sci-fi, but deep and thought-provoking trilogies and such that I think that's something that we should get into. And obviously I'm sensing the pattern here with sci-fi authors, and all that you've mentioned I've actually been interested in. So I definitely think, I know I keep saying this, but as soon as we finish Ulysses, we will probably go into something. Well, I'll let you pick the next thing, since I know Ulysses is destroying me right now.
Bonus to one-up you. You always talk about the guy that one-ups everybody, right? I'm going to one-up you. I'm just going to throw out King there as one last thing. We love him. We've done his stuff. I love talking about King because his stories are so fun. They can be thought-provoking. Again, it really depends on which, I don't know, not genre, but which King you want. Do you want old King or new King? But, we could throw him out there as well, because he's always fun.
Actually, you know what? Ever since I went to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, where you get to tour and see a lot of the inspiration behind The Shining by Stephen King, I've actually had a lot of interest in doing that. So you know what? Come on, help me get through Ulysses, man. Where are you on this one? Help me push this one through.
There's no pushing that one through. You have to take that one as a leisurely stroll. Otherwise, you miss something and we won't do it service. But we got, almost 10 amazing authors that I think have mapped out our 2025. So this sounds amazing. So let's do it.
All right. Thank you for spending time with us. Top 5 list down below. My name's been Una. Peace.
Peace.